Hello and welcome to this overview and, well, kind of in-depth review of the Sovereign Wings. This should be the project, a blank project, when you add the Sovereign Wings through the Unreal Marketplace launcher. So let's take a look at the files. Here is the main folder. We have animations, we have blueprints, the mannequin that we are using as a placeholder, and let me open the map, the overview map. While the shaders compile, we can keep checking the structure. We have materials, meshes, textures, and the VFX, which are all done through Cascade. So let's take a look at the blueprints. Here in the blueprints, we have a game mode that has already set up this flying character, so it's easier to test. Then we have the flying character that has all the character blueprint logic plus the wings, and we are using an interface for the wings to communicate with other blueprints. So it's a cleaner way of communication, of blueprint communication, without needing the use of hard references. Also, we have this component, and this component contains logic about the flying and about the wings. We will see that more in depth when we get a chance. Also, there is a folder called tutorial, and here is a little overview that is done through a tutorial blueprint. If we press play, then we can see a little bit about it. It gives us a thank you, all the components needed. Here you need the wings. Yeah, we can follow this. For example, to set up a character, this is what the character will come with by default, because a character is just a child of the parent class character. So our character comes with this inherited component. So what we're adding is the wings, the wing spark solo that adds a little spark to each and every wing, makes it look a little bit cooler. The camera and the follow camera, this comes set up if you just import the third person character example. The character movement component comes by default, and the component we are adding is the wing component. So what we need to implement this, if we needed to use another character, we just need to add the flying movement component, add the wings, make sure that you create a socket, and we will see about this in a little bit. You create a socket in the skeleton of the character you're using, so you can parent this to that socket. So yeah, in our case is the wing socket. Then we have this wing spark solo. You can just select all of this and copy and paste it, so it's easier. And yeah, on the flying movement component, here is all the logic that is needed inside the character blueprint for the character to work normally. Here we just are using inputs. We are not using uh, input action events set up in the project settings, because otherwise it would give you these errors that, like for example, this character was set up through the inputs in the project settings, because it's an almost copy paste of the third person character blueprint that you can have if you just add the template. So that's why it's giving us an error, because this is not set up. We will fix it. Like, yeah, let's fix it right now. So I was talking about the demo character here in the overview map. We should have it. If I press play, here it is. I can't move around because the inputs are not set up. So if we just want to set up those inputs really quickly, we could just import, add a feature or content pack. Let's close this so it's not popping up every time a window opens. And in the featured examples, here it is, the third person. By adding this to your project, it also adds the project needs. For example, the input in the project settings are set up automatically. So this has been added. I can see it here that it added a mannequin folder, a geometry folder, and a third person blueprint and third person meshes. So if we went to this third person example map, let's not save anything. This is the template that many of you may recognize. If I play it, now it works because all the inputs have been set up. So I was saying, this character, if I press Ctrl E to open the editor, is almost exactly the same as the one here that we are giving to you. So it's really not something weird, a weird setup or anything, or it's not complicated either. So yeah, if we go to event graph, here are the inputs. As I said, this has been set up by adding this template. So in our flying character, it's almost exactly the same. The only thing that differs is from here to the bottom. So now if I compile, now it detects that in the project settings, in the input ini, those values has been set up and the names have been accordingly typed. So yeah, with this little setup, we can go to the Sovereign Wings map again. Don't save anything like just yet. And if we play, now we can move around and we can see our character already working. If you want to fly, I believe it was Q. Yeah, it's Q. And now you're flying. And press Q again, and we stop flying. And we have this little landing effect and a bigger landing effect that comes with an animation. So yeah, we have it working out of the box. We just, if for example, let's say I want to put this guy in another map, like a blank map. Let's get a new level, default, yes, just so it loads quicker. And here, two things we need to set up. We need a game mode that will use this flying character, that it may be the game mode that we already created because it has the flying character set up. Or if you don't want to use a game mode, you could also drag and drop this. Well, let's test. Let's not go too fast. Yeah. If we choose the wings, then our character it's working. But if you don't want to use a game mode, you can also drag and drop the character, and in details search possess. It was possess. Oh, I'm searching the components. Okay, possess. You could tell it to auto possess the player 0. So even though the game mode is blank, here it's blank, this blueprint will tell the engine to auto possess it, and again it's working. So now we know how to use it. Out of the box, just drag and drop, make it auto possess, or just in your game mode, you can double click a game mode, you just set up the default pawn class to our blueprint flying character. But now, what happens? Oops. Let's say if I want to add these wings to my character, and let's check like really fast what's inside this blueprint character. Here we have the flying input, so you can activate or deactivate the flying, and we're using functions that are being called in the server. If your project is a single player project, then it shouldn't matter to you. But if you're making it work in multiplayer, then this code already supports networking. So what this does is calls this variable, this function, on the server, and we have it run on server. It will check that it's not falling, or if it is, then it will work differently. Like if it's not falling, then it will jump. It will be launched through the air. But if it isn't, then after some time, then it will begin flying. We set the movement mode, we enable some camera lag, and we tell the movement component, the flying movement component, that is this one, that the character will fly. So the same is done for stop flying. The next input we have is a spacebar. Spacebar spacebar works differently if you're flying. If you're flying, then it will add a boost, a little boost, and we call it an air dash. So let's test it because I didn't manage to show it up. So if we're in the ground, we press Q, we're launched through the air, we can fly. If I press spacebar, I get a little air dash and some little animation to show that it's working. And then we have the server events that support all this logic in networking. Server event for the air dash, and a begin play event that sets, well, it could set, we have it not connected because it really depends on the game you're trying to create, but we leave the choice to, for example, being able to simulate physics on the wings. Right now the wings are being driven purely by animation. They are not using physics, but if you wanted, you could connect this and hopefully it works. Yeah, you see, now the wings are simulating. You would need to test and check the constraint values to get the simulation exactly as you want it, because it really depends what kind of effect you want. So yeah, you could get really interesting results, especially while going high speeds. But also, you could turn on and off this when you like, but we don't need it because we're using animations uh, to drive all the movement. So it's a little bonus if you need it. Then we have the tick to check some movement, and this is done. So it's lucky that I this is really well commented. So if there is an input save that on the server used for animation purposes, roll and pitch when flying for the blend speed. So this is being used when we're flying. You can see a little movement in the body when we go from side to side. So yeah, it's just for that. And well, I landed the event, so we know when the character has landed. We just tell the interface that it has landed, and the interface takes care of a lot of things. There is a block behavior and an attack behavior. And while this is the movement input we need, and let's check the block. This is that was that one was the attack. If we left click attack, and if we block, then we have this nice animation and particle effects. So yeah, that's everything that's inside this blueprint. And that should give you a really good idea what is needed for it to work. So I wanted to do a demo of making it work with another character, but I don't know if this is going too long. Maybe I could split it up. Well, first we could show how to change the wings. If needed, you can change the appearance of the wings. We have 5 skins for this type of situations. So an easy way to do it, just browse, and here in the meshes, this is a skeletal mesh. The wings have bones, and that's why it can be animated really drastically. So we have skins. To change what we want, we just need to drag and drop. And there it is. When the Gullwing, Legend, or Royal Wing. Let's say for example I want the royal wing. So here we have the royal wing working, but there is a particle effects that is not matching with it. That's the wing spark solo. We just need to find the correct one. So here the sovereign one is the purple one. I really don't know about color, so I'll just call it purple. So let's go one folder up and find the royal folder. And here we have it. Here we have the sparks. So sovereign sparks, royal sparks, drag and drop, and there it is. The correct, and let me select another. Okay, here it is, the correct sparks. If we play, there is a little more tweaking we should do. For example, when we block, we are still using the sovereign block. If we jump, we are still using that effect. So where can I change the other effects? Here, in the flying movement component. And here they are. Let's go to the content browser I just have here. Okay, here it is. So if you pressed, for example, this icon, it will give you again the sovereign folder. But let's go to VFX, Royal, and here are the visual effects that should go here. For example, Royal Hard Fall, we just replace it here. Royal Shield here. Soft Fall here. And we notice there is a trail and a trail smoke. I'll talk about it right about now. Let's just test if this is working. We have the block, the correct one, the land, the correct one, and the hard land, the correct one. So what's missing? The trails. Here we are using the Sovereign Wings trail. So we see that it's not matching correctly. How do we change it? Yeah, so this is the tricky part, because the trails are tied to the animation. So what we need to do to change the trail, we just click on the mesh and the wings mesh, skeleton mesh component. We go to the animation blueprint. Just click on the magnifying glass, and here we have it. This is the animation blueprint. I will give an overview after I show how to change the colors. But what we're looking for is this Sovereign Wings locomotion. If we see the skin anim folder inside here, we will have the crimson wing effect that has the trails here. As I said, the trails are inside the animation asset because it was an easier way for everyone to change it. Otherwise, it may have taken like a little more steps. So we find it that this was more intuitive. So you see here there are trails. It will not show up because the wing is not moving, but you can trust me and I will show you. So let's go to the blend space of the skeletal mesh of the wings. So double click on the blend space. This is the blend space that is being used to drive the wing movement. For example, you see here, click, drag, or hold shift to move the preview. So in this axis that is forward, if our velocity is 0, then the wings stay in that position. If it's a larger number, you can see that the wings are going backwards until here. Here we're using the animation called soaring wings forward. But here you can see that there is not much of a difference. What this is doing a blend between the forward animation and a forward animation but with an effect. And you can see there, soaring wing forward effect. If we wanted to use another trail, for example, the royal wing forward effect, then we just need to drag and drop. And we drag and drop it on top. So we're changing animation from the forward effect of the soaring wings to the royal wings. We release it, and now this animation will use the trail that is correct. Let's save it just in case, and we play it. And now if I move, you can see that it's using the correct trail. And that's the same procedure that you should do in case of wanting to use the different skins that comes with this pack. As I said before, this is running a little long, but I'll make sure to have some annotations so it's easier to navigate and just go to the part that really interests you. Now we will see a little more about the animation blueprint. That's here. We're using two skeleton meshes, right? Here we have the character mesh that it's the same of the is the classic Greyman, right? And an skeleton mesh for the wings. The thing is that this is using its own animation blueprints, and the mesh is using its own animation blueprint. And this differs from the template one, from the third person template, like slightly. Let's open it. Here we have the character animations for flying, for blocking, doing the attack. We're using animation montages to play those, like the hero landing. And if we go to the animation blueprint, we will see that all this is exactly the same as the template character. So there is nothing new. You just check if it's in air. If it's falling, then it's in the air. And we set the speed. But this is where it gets a little bit complicated. We're just asking if this owner, this pawn owner of this animation, has this component, the flying movement component. We check if it's valid, and we get the first reference we have. We're doing it this way because one is it's easier to understand. Two, it's really improbable that you will have two actor components of the flying movement type, because you don't need more than one. So there will probably just be one. So we check if it's valid, and if it's valid, then we set up variables that we get from this component. This is if it's flying, the speed needed to show the fly animation, and you could tweak all these values. So especially this one, you can tweak it from here, from the blueprint character. You just go to a component and you can tweak the speed needed to show fly forward animation. This is just a value for the change between when you're flying, how much speed is needed so you lean forward. If we needed more speed, let's say 1000, then we see that there is a bit more time before leaning forward. Let's return it. And the flying dash impulse is just a value to know how much the impulse, the air dash, will be. So I have set it up to a large value, and let's use it, and you see that we're still flying forward because it really was a huge value. Let's go back to the flying character. So yeah, we are just getting those values. We get the actor transformation. So forward, it's always x equals 1, and we're getting the last movement input, because this way we know we could get the value for the roll and the pitch. So for example, we are in the anim preview editor. Yes, edit preview. Let's say, yeah, you're in air, it's falling, but you're also flying. Because in the code, when we are changing the movement modes, the is in air value that we get from this is falling, it changes to false. So it will set this to false when we start flying, so it will automatically do this. So now we tell them that, yeah, you're flying with 0 speed, so there is no change, right? Let's add some speed, and when we go beyond that value that has been set up in the character blueprint, that was 300, then we do that transition to fly forward. And with the pitch and the roll, we now can do that rotation, and the pitch will change it from diving to going upwards. If it's blocking, it will not show an animation, because the blocking part is using the an animation montage. So yeah, it won't show it here. So yeah, we set those values, so we get the roll and the pitch. The gust effect and shield effect, we get them also from the component. And if we need to know if you're entering the shield or you're exiting the shield, then we just ask if it's blocking or not. Okay, so if you enter the shield, you play a montage. that will call the shield animation, and when you exit it, then it stops. The ghasts work really similarly. Here we have it. If it's attacking, use the ghast. The ghast checks if any montage is playing, and if there are no montages playing, then we play this one. This event landed is an interface that we are calling from the character blueprint. Here we just get the mesh, then we get the anim instance that will be the animation character, the animation blueprint, and we ask if it has this interface, and we tell them that if it does, then yeah, you landed. And when we call this, we just check some values of speed, or just to see if we should play the hard landing or the soft landing. And with that comparison, we play the hard landing, or we check the collision with the floor, and in the floor we play the soft landing. Here is the soft land particle spawning. The hard landing, because we really don't want to spawn it right when the animation starts. We have an animation notify on the actual animation of the hard landing, and when this triggers, then we find a location where it landed, and we spawn the hard land particle there. Yeah, if you wanted to know what calculation it's doing, you can enter this function, and you could add a draw debug, like for duration. Let's play, and when we jump, there is a capsule trace being done to know where to spawn the particle. The same is done if if it's a hard landing. Yeah, and that's how we know where to spawn the particles. This is a little anim notify to lock or unlock the movement. This is just so when you are doing a hard landing, if I can find that animation quickly, here landed, we lock the movement here, so you can't move while this animation is playing. Otherwise you could slide. If you wanted to move, then you could remove these notifies and be done with it, right? And here is the hard landing that this custom animation notifies will call the code that will spawn the hard landing. That's pretty much it for the character blueprint. If you wanted to import this to your character, you could easily just do a retarget, so it gets all the animations and all the logic. To retarget an animation blueprint, just need to find it, right click, and retarget anim blueprints. And here, well, if I had another character correctly set up, it will show up here. This has been covered in the hover bike, and I believe on the hoverboard examples, but if it's needed, then I can cover it again using this package. And last but not least, it's the animation blueprint of the wings. It checks if the pawn is valid. If it's valid, we want to know if it's falling or if it's in air. And here we want the speed wing factor. This speed wing factor will be like the speed divided by the max speed. So yeah, if it's 0 it stays, if it's more than 1 because it's a factor, then it goes backwards. This is being driven by this little animation graph that just plays this blend space on top of the animation. If some more complicated movement on the wings would be needed, then we could also add a locomotion state here, and a state machine. That's what I was looking for. So we could do more complicated stuff, and state, make it go back. Yeah, we could do stuff like that. But for now, it's really not needed, so I won't bother with it. We get the wing factor, and then we get some values from the component, the flying movement actor component class. If it's valid, if this pawn has it, then here it's really the same code as the character. We just check if it's blocking, or if it isn't, then you enter the shield. And if it's blocking and if it was blocking and you're not blocking anymore, then you exit the shield. Yeah. So if you're not blocking and you start blocking, then we set up is blocking, enter shield, and the same done for the exit shield. Also the gust, pretty much the same. If you're attacking, use the gust. The enter shield plays an animation montage of this shield and spawns an emitter there. That is, it will be the shield particle. If we exit the shield, then we finish the animation. We jump to the section that is out. If we look at this animation montage, we can see the sections here, the in and the out. If I click here, I believe here it is. Preview, in, then out, in, out. So that's it. Technically, you could hold like the animation if you wanted, but it's not really needed. And well, a little more. This is the, yeah, I was getting confused there. Yeah. So the gust also spawns its, well, plays its montage, and it's done with it. So yeah, pretty simple stuff. So now, what would I need to have another character use these animations, use these components, etc.? It's really easy. Let's go to the third person blueprint, and I will try to do it really quick because the process is really the same. Let's not save anything. And we have this character that has nothing to do with the flying component and anything, right? Let's put some wings on it. I'll do a right click and edit, or Control E. And what I need to do is first copy and paste the components I need. I will close all this for now, so it's easier to see. This is the character that comes with the package. I only need the wings spark solo, and the flying movement component. I'll copy it, I paste it, and now we have it. We have the wings here, the wing spark solo, the flying component. I need the wings to attach correctly, so I need a socket. This mesh have some bones, but it doesn't have the socket I need. But first, in order to have all the list of sockets and bones pop up, I need these wings to be a child of this mesh. So I'll just drag it on top of it. And now if I go to parent socket, now it shows me all the bones and sockets it has. But there isn't any bone that I could use. For example, if I chose spine 3, then yeah, it's really not that good. Let's go to the skeletal mesh and the persona editor. Just go to click on the mesh, on the magnifying glass, and double click it. Here we need to go to the skeleton, and when the skeleton opens up, go to the skeleton tree, and let me use the mannequin female for this example, just because it's different from this example that we were using before. Yeah, so here on the third person character, I will switch from the SK mannequin to the SK mannequin female, just so it's easier to to uh, to notice, right, the difference. Yeah, it's working almost the same. Let's find the asset, double click it, go to the skeleton. It's using the same skeleton, so yeah, it's fine. We can change this preview skeleton mesh if we just do this. So yeah, let's go to the skeleton tree, and I want to add the wings, a socket for the wings. Let's check how it was done here. So it's using the same bone as root. Let's go to the skeleton mannequin, double click it, skeleton tree, and the socket, wing socket. It seems that the neck, it's holding the wing socket, right? No, wrong. It's the spine 3. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. Yeah, so here, skeleton, spine 3, right click, add socket. We'll call it wing socket. And we will add a preview asset just to know what we're doing, so it's not like, yeah, for example here the rotation is wrong, so let's add a rotation for the socket. It should be a relative rotation of maybe y 90. Oh, that was the relative location. 90, no, minus 90. Yeah, that's looking a lot more better. And the relative location, it was y minus 10 maybe. It may be too close, so minus 20. Minus 15. Let's divide and conquer. Yeah, that's perfect. You won't be able to see that it's really not attached. Yeah, it's really not noticeable. But I see it. So let's go to minus 12. Yeah, that's okay. That's fine. That's perfect. Let's save it. And now let's return. Let me close this and this. Yeah. Let's return to the third person character and let's attach this. No, this wing spark solo. No, this wings skeleton skeletal mesh component. We choose this point 3, but we want the wing socket. And you can see it's not working correctly. It's because this component has inherited some rotation from the mesh and from where I copy and pasted it. So I just need to put here 0. Just 0 out everything. So you can use these yellow arrows. So yeah, now we have it. We have the wings, we have the spark solo, and we have the flying movement component. Let's first see what happens if I press play. It shows up, it even moves, and show me the trails. But I can't press Q to fly, and there are no spawning of the hard and soft landing. So what we need to do is add the code missing. We have the third person character here. We have our template flying character. We just need to go to the event graph because the construction script is blanked. And we need to copy everything inside this black comment. And as you can see, nodes needed on your character blueprint. So we will select everything, copy it, and here in the event graph we will paste it. Right click, paste. Well, I can just do Ctrl V and be done with it. So there are some functions references. Some function reference should not be resolved in the new context. How would you like to fix them? Start flying, create a matching function on blueprint, stop flying. Let's do nothing for now. Just do nothing. Confirm. Oh no, it pasted in. Yeah, let's. Yeah, that's better. Let's find a better place to paste all this, like right over here. Let's do nothing for now. And now we have all the nodes needed for it to work. So what's missing? This little server start flying seems that it didn't really copy them correctly. And those were right here. Server air dash, last movement, stop flying, and start flying. They exist. If I compile, maybe, yeah, it shows that it no longer exists. But if we refresh the nodes, it will find it again. It will find that, oh yeah, they really do exist. Refresh nodes, let's compile again. This is the one I'm missing. Refresh nodes. Refresh nodes. I believe there is a button to refresh all nodes. Or wasn't it? Yeah, I don't know if it was a plugin or something, but refresh all nodes. Here it is. Refresh all nodes. We compile. Found more than one function with the name of right. We want hours, so we just delete this move input move because it's almost the same, but hours have a little bit more stuff. Like the locking input mechanic. If you don't want this, then you could also delete these branches, but we are using some values from the movement, so make sure to use this movement input. So compile, save, and now we go to the play. The wings are working correctly. If you jump, we haven't set up that yet. If you move, the trails work, right clicking works, flying works, but the animations are broken. So what we need to do is have a correct animation blueprint that we can use. So let's go back to the third person character. Let's see if the wings have its correct animation blueprint. It has, but the mesh has the normal third person blueprint. We could do the same, like in the event graph, start copy and paste all the animation nodes on the other one, but a simpler way to do this would be to retarget the animation blueprint, and that's what we will do. To retarget something, we just need to go first, set up this character, well, both characters as being able to retarget. So we go to the skeleton, we go to retarget manager, and here I believe this is already set up. Out of date. Uh, just in case, I'll set up again. Here, set up the rig, just select humanoid, and because it's the gray man, or well, gray woman, the bones will more than 100% be correct. Well, let's say 99.9 be correct. And let's view the pose. It's fine, the pose is fine. Let's save it. So we have all the bones correctly mapped. Then we will go to our animation, well, mine, well, the one that came with the package, right? That is the one in the sovereign wings. mannequin, character, mesh, and this one. This is the skeleton that comes by default with the sovereign wings package. Let's double click that, and we already shipped with that uh, rig ready for retargeting, so it's really not a problem. So once you have set up the skeletal mesh that you want to retarget, that is this one, then we just need to find the animation blueprint we want to retarget. So now we have both characters set up for retargeting. Let's do one of the final steps. Let's go to Sovereign Wings, Animations, the character, and here it has the animation blueprint. I will save it just because sometimes when I retarget and things are not being saved, it can crash. That happened to me a lot in previous versions. I don't know if 4.26 fixed that, but I'm just making sure so I don't have to redo this thing again. So let's do it. Right click, retarget anim blueprints, duplicate anim blueprints. Here we have the other skeleton that we set up. It will show the normal skeletal mesh, but the skeletons are technically the same but different. But yeah, it should work. We see that the source and the target are in the same exact pose, so yeah, it will work definitely. Retarget, and everything has been retargeted to the source, well, to the root folder, and this is everything. And now we have this animation blueprint that has all the flying, so we could easily jump to our third person character and replace this one by the correct one, right? So let me change the name so it's easier to find. Animation test, and I could also drag and drop it here. No drag and drop. Well, I could do this, yeah. I can select it also. Well, if I compile, I believe it should show it to me. Right, here it is. App test flying character, test flying chart. And let's see if it's work. Now our character has the flying animation, move in a hovery way. The jump and fold is exactly the same. And now we have the flying animations. Now you can see that it's misbehaving a little bit. You just need to set up some values here. Well, no, not the movement component, but the character movement component. Search flying, and these are values that are being used when the character is flying. So you can check what values we use so it behaves exactly the same, if you like that, right? We press play, flying, and now it's behaving exactly the same as our other character, but it's a completely different character with let's say a completely different skeleton, right? It's another asset. Maybe the skeleton is the same because it's the same gray man or woman, but yeah, it now works and you can do this for any character you want. Hope this was useful. I will annotate this video because I know it's been long. Let let let, let me check. Maybe 1 hour. Yeah, 1 hour. Yeah, it was. But yeah, it was a deep dive to all this package has to offer, so you can add stuff on it. You have a better comprehension how the animation is working, how the code is working. You could check more in depth how the server stuff is working if you enter the flying movement component and edit it. Here we have some functions, I believe. Oh no, no we're no. It's pretty simple then. Everything that is being done, it's right here. So it should be really easy to tweak. The components is just being used to hold variables. So yeah, if you have any questions or any feedback, just let us know and we will try to get back to you as soon as possible. And be sure to follow us on all our social networks and give us a like and a subscription if you're inclined to do so. We will keep pushing great assets, high quality assets in the future. So that's a thing to take in consideration. So yeah, let us know if you have any difficulty with any of our packages. You can ask here in the channel, or you can send us an email at support@unfgames.com. The mail is a really good place, so I can send you some images if you're having trouble, or set up some kind of um, remote assistance of some sort. So yeah, be sure to contact us if you have any problems, and I hope this video was helpful to you. And that will be it. Yep, that's it. I'm not missing anything. No, take care and stay safe.